Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. Thanks for being here to this teacher's interview. World Language Academy feels so honorable to start our second teacher's interview. We are here in Guayaquil, Ecuador, and we teachers learn from others, teachers' anecdotes from experience and different teachers' philosophy. So today, we have the privilege to start this interview, but more than an interview, is reflection. It's a conversation. So, in terms of communication, if you want to interact, you feel free. You can do it. Thanks for being here. And in simple words, I will express my admiration to Miss Elizabeth Ortiz. The first time I met her when and some years ago, I saw her in Copay and I saw their determination to start courses. Now I know that she's working as a professor in a university, and she started out her own institute or academy. So maybe she will explain us more in detail. Elizabeth, how are you? Thanks for being here. So sorry, you're muted, Elizabeth.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Andres, for that kind introduction. Uh, well, I started my teaching journey when I was 18, maybe 19 years old. So my first job was a teacher, so at the primary, and it happened the same to me that happened to most of the teachers all over the world. So teaching wasn't my first love. So I was an accidental teacher, in fact. So it took some time to me to embrace this profession as part of something that I really love to do. If you ask me what have I enjoyed the most, it's my stage when I started teaching teachers. So it's where I feel it's that moment I had that aha moment when I noticed that I really enjoy sharing with colleagues from all over the world. And I just found out that we all have the same problems, the same experiences, the same questions, the same what if I do this? What would happen if? So, exactly the same all over the world. So, and at the beginning, I thought that it was just something local, something that happened in my small community of English teachers. But having some international experiences, um, it was I was aware of what happened all over the world. We all face the same problems. We all have the same difficulties, and just I was going to answer the comment I am reading on WhatsApp. And it really happened, this boom of teacher education that is not new at all. But when I started um, thinking about introducing some uh, teaching, teaching for peace in education, it started when around maybe 6, 7 years ago. I started teaching at the university after my experience, after a long years of teaching experience in administration and teacher training and doing some other interesting things in my professional life. But when I started working in a smaller city in a university with around 10,000 students so far, my students, they had to face different kind of problems and conflicts, and I noticed that in my class there were people from different backgrounds with different stories facing different difficulties. And it happened once in one of my classroom that I noticed that my students couldn't manage conflicts, internal conflicts among them. And uh, and I used to every at the beginning of every semester, I spend around 2 weeks implementing getting to know activities to know more about my students, to know where they come from, to know who they are, to know what kind of conflicts they face. And in this small city, 6 years ago, there were, it was somewhat safer community. So the rates of dangers, and I would say criminal, I don't want to say criminal rates, but danger because of those acts were the average, it was tolerable, but not now. So the university where I work is now considered one of the most dangerous cities in Ecuador, in fact, because of the level of violence, and that was something that I could notice in my class, in my face-to-face class. When the pandemic came out, we started teaching virtually. And I live different kind of experiences with my students, not just because they had parents and close families dying because of the COVID-19, but also suffering different kind of psychological difficulties and the emotional difficulties because they didn't know how to face unemployment, or their parents' unemployment, or family that just passed away because of the COVID, and the financial and economical problems, and all the difficulties that we all face during the pandemics. And then I found necessary to introduce these aspects of teaching for peace, that it's wide. It's a wide topic. It's not something that we can say, oh, teaching education is talking about peace from a theoretical base. No, it's not theory. It requires actions. It requires a higher level of sensibility from the teachers, but also a clear understanding about what happens in your environment, in your teaching and learning environment. Um, Once that happened, I started introducing aspects of teacher education, and just like a personal teaching experience. So as we do in the class, what if I do this? What if I do that? And I started with a very easy unit. I remember I was teaching by them virtually A1 students, false beginners, all of them, young adults. So the age average was between 18 or 19 years old. And then I start in the very famous topic in the textbooks. We usually have actors, we have actresses, we have uh, people from show business. But there were few examples or people who are doing more remarkable efforts in the world. So I started introducing people and names they never heard about, but they were all peacemakers. So starting with Malala Yousafzai, with a different kind of peacemaker. By then, Sir Robinson, who is a huge defendant of teaching education for peace, and defending the position that creativity, that the classroom or the school kills creativity. That was very shocking to me. And then I started reading more about people involved in education for peace. By then, the Inter-American Development Bank, they had a research about the new skills for the 21st century in COVID in COVID settings. And then they said what we should include in our classrooms. It's not just those cognitive aspects of not just teaching a language or using different kind of skills to develop skills in the students, but really making sense of what we teach in our classrooms. So then they mentioned resilience, empathy, the ability to be more tolerant. Tolerance, resilience, empathy, collaboration, also train to help our students to be more and more autonomous than ever. And then I started implementing different kind of activities. So as I told you, the first one in who is who in the world, I just chose pacifiers, peacemakers. Sorry, peacemakers. So pacifiers is another word. So peacemakers. And then they had to find out and at least identify
Mm,
two people who are making the difference in the world. And it was interesting because they have never heard about it. So another activity that I introduced in my class was to express their emotions, help them to express their emotions. And then one of the activities that I really enjoyed the most was they have to design a meme, just a meme. And at the beginning of the meme, they just express their fear to my subject, to English. So they were so afraid of making mistakes. They were so afraid. So it says, okay, I need to work in, building a better confidence in my students. So little by little, I introduced different activities that allow them to express their emotions, to identify leaders or peacemakers in their community. Not, I started with the worldwide community, but little by little, I asked them to find out more about people who are making difference in their communities. And then they found out that there was one person who was making a difference in the neighborhood or someone who did something remarkable and it was their neighbor. So, and little by little, they start focus on more positive aspects rather than negative ones. Then we had some, it's not a kind of debate, but identifying pros and cons, developing using more metacognition. So, and ask them to develop more defending positions, but with tolerance, with respect. So, more focus on values. So little by little, also be more collaborative. So helping and support each other, working, and this is very important because since 2020, so until now, I'm still teaching virtually, and using or implementing different kind of tools to allow me to getting to know them and know more about them in order to implement in my class the activities they need, but also at the same time, including those aspects or those components of educate teaching for peace. Um, I don't know if there is any question so far, Andres. How do you want to manage? Because I think that I've been talking too much, and I think that there are some questions in the audience.
Oh, it's okay, Elizabeth. So in this introduction that you were making, you were explaining briefly about education in peace. So in this audience, there are some people from other countries that maybe they don't know you, or maybe they hear the first time. So for me, I'm sure I was making sure that some teachers learn from this topic. So that's why I allow you to ask. So welcome, teachers, for being here. So in this moment, if you have any question, please raise your hand. If you have any inquiry, let me know, please. Uh, Feel free to participate in this active interview. Okay.
Andres, good morning. This is Rosana Ceballos.
Hey,
Roxana, thank you. Thank
Rosanna,
Okay,
you
my
for
good
being
friend from
here.
Miss,
Peru.
yeah, Miss Elizabeth, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to listen to you this morning. I have a question. Is that a group for peace a movement around the world? And if the answer is yes, how can I join it?
Let me tell you, there are different initiatives, and it started with the Sustainable Development Goals movement, in fact. So the person I just mentioned a few minutes ago, Sir Ken Robinson, he passed away, unfortunately, around 2 years ago. But Sir Ken Robinson, and this is a very interesting TED Talk video that I recommend every single teacher to watch, that he stated in one of those videos that so far it's a record. It has a record of views, and he stated that schools kill creativity. And that was a very catchy title for me. It says, wait a second, what happens? What is this about? And his thoughts about how we can be better teachers, like not just focusing on the cognitive aspects of the language in our case, that we are English teachers, but if we say in education, sometimes we focus too much in the cognitive aspects and we just leave apart some other aspects, like introducing activities connected to arts. I mean, some cross-curricular activities, different kind of activities for teaching English in my case. For example, my students, they have to design a comic. That it says, okay, so that is for designers. But now with some of the tools and the applications that we have for developing comics, so it was an interesting activity. Even the students, I had the opportunity to getting to know them better through comics, to something that they like. And I would say that as a movement, we have all the people who spread the voice about the sustainable development goals. That was my starting point. In the second, another movement that I got involved, it was in a project that organization that is a 6 Seconds organization. That is another organization I'm been involved. I start working on something that we call pop-up festival. The pop-up festival, it's an event that had at the beginning was face-to-face, but then because of the pandemics, we had to do it in virtually. But I got involved in that pop-up festival with 6 Seconds organization to celebrate every November the 20th, the day of protection, the World Day for Protection teenagers and children around the world. So in that project, we implemented different kind of activities, working with our students, and to talk about peace. To talk about peace. I would say that I would recommend, if you have ever worked with a sustainable development goals in the classroom, it's a good way to introduce education for peace. So you can get together with different kind of organizations who have been developed strategies, activities, and efforts worldwide to spread the word of peace. And how do we manage this higher level of violence in our classroom because of lack of communication among people? That is something very, very easy. Roxana, you can get involved with sustainable development goals. There is another page that it says the largest classroom. It's the largest classroom. I can share with you some links afterwards that maybe Andres could share with all of you. But in this, the world largest classroom, it's a website that includes different kind of lesson plans connected with sustainable development goals. Uh, and there are some examples of best practices using those lesson plans in the classroom. So then you have the complete lesson plan, you have some worksheets that you can use in the classroom, and it depends on the topic that you want to introduce. So in my case, I usually use those that are connected with values. Um, and I'm little by little getting involved in those organizations, having active participation with those organizations, taking the best out, the best practices as the results of what they are doing in other countries. And as again, so we need to be aware that whatever happens in our classroom is not, it doesn't happen only in our small community. Teachers from all over the world will face the same problems: violence, financial problems, political problems, different kind of problems. And those problems affect our students from all over the world. And we need to work together, get together as an ELT community to support each other, to share, to create spaces like this, like the one that Andres is doing now, to have a place or an event in which we all can share our problems. So we are not alone in this process, but it's important for you to surf on the net and identify who is doing what in the world and get together and be active participants of it.
Thank you so much, dear Elizabeth, for your response. And I will add something, Elizabeth. No, so um, in the last part of your response, when you mentioned that the education in peace as must be taken into action, I observing in the social medias, no, there are some group of teachers that they created different organizations, non-governmental organizations in order to support peace around the world. They spread harmony, love, and compassion in the different communities. So I got a question, Elizabeth. Now, so in the rural areas or public schools that we know that there are a lot of conflicts now that we teachers have to handle in our classrooms. So uh, what do you recommend to those public teachers know that what specific strategies they can manage in order to reduce or to handle those conflicts that we know that those conflicts come from their background or the environment where they live. So I think that that's not something that can work for every institution, but more or less how can they use them if effectively?
I think that the first step should be aware on what can we do and what cannot do. What changes can we make and what changes we cannot. So I usually, I don't know if you're familiar with the serenity prayer where it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So and then to courage to things the things I can and wisdom to know the difference. And that is the best example. The first one is you know your community, and our communities are, in this case, in those specific cases, we are living, unfortunately and sadly, we are living a different and an alarming level of violence and intolerance and focus on difference and the migration or immigration waves. It's another aspect that we also uh, need to consider, to pay attention to it. But I would say that we as teachers, we are not superheroes. We don't have those, that magic uh, uh, bound to change the words just with a click. No, we need to be aware about what kind of changes can be done in my classroom for in my small area. So what can I do? What can I change? What is the influence that I can, um, what minor problems can I solve? We are not going to change the world. We are not going to change what happens in our community. But one thing, for example, in my university, because of the higher level of violence outside in the city, I would say, my students every day, their fear to know if they are going back home alive, it's a reality, for example.
Thank you.
And then we need to know, it says, okay, so to what do I need to do in order to support or to give my students some emotional support to that? So that is what important. I think that the first step every teacher should consider is getting to know the students and getting to know their small communities where they live. So then choose what can be done and what can't be done. because you definitely, you are not Superman. So whatever happens could be a danger, and we need to be aware of it.
Thank you so much, dear Elizabeth, for your response. Okay, here we have two teachers that they are raising the hand, Mr. Eduardo Grajeda and I think the trainer. Okay, the trainer she was asking, Mr. I don't know how to spell your name. Is Suena trainer? Would you ask something, please?
Yes, I
Yeah.
was.
Hello, everybody. This is Svetlana from Georgia. I am a senior English language educator with 10 years of work experience. I speak 4 languages. Thank you so much. Actually, yesterday I had a meeting with the Ministry of Education, and we were discussing the same questions related to class management. Nowadays, kids are so violent, and lots of bullyings in the classroom everywhere. How we can avoid and make anti-bullying situations, how we can resolve these problems. There are different kind of bullying: cyberbullying, verbal, physical, and virtual bullyings. This is also a problem, a reason that can make students violent. First of all, we have to find out what is the reason behind of their behavior. When we find, and especially it comes from their home, because kids are the reflection of their family. If they have some problems at home, if they have some problems with their relatives, parents, brothers, or sisters, it can cause lots of problems at school too, in the classroom, in the environment where they live. This aggressive behavior they can show between their classmates and behave violent in the classroom during classes. I have a student, he says, I don't need English language. I don't want to learn. And alone, I am struggling. I ask lots of explanations, like I ask, what is the reason why you don't like? How can we solve this problem? Can you provide me a method where I can teach you how you wish that I teach you? Please tell me, and I will use this method if you like to be taught like this. And he said, please talk in the class Armenian. Armenian is our mother tongue. I said, it's not allowed all the time to talk about any general information, general topic, and don't be focused on our main lesson purpose. So there are, I don't know, different situations. It depends on us how we manage and how we can give solutions. If you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you.
Thank you, Svetlana. Just a comment on something that you just mentioned. The first day of class is very crucial, and I'm just sharing what I usually do. Now, as I told you, I'm working virtually, but before the pandemic, I was working face to face. And the first day of class, I set the rules of the game, in which I said about bullying, lack of respect, intolerance, etc., and what is not allowed in my class. So I only can share my experience, but I had a situation with one of my classes over there. So there was a lack of respect, and and it was an introduction to bullying. No, it was 100% bullying. And then I said, do you remember the consequences of this the first day of class when I told you? Okay, so now you're going to have there will be consequences because of your behavior. So, and it is important, they are university students, they are college students. And, but they know that to me, that lack of respect, intolerance, and bullying is not allowed in my class. And it's totally and they had consequences. Another thing, for example, is that I introduce more collaborative work by random. And because what usually happens when you set group works or team works, so they always want to work with the same people. So they say the people they feel identified for. In my class, it doesn't happen. I use different activities to make groups and by random. So, and they say, teacher, but he doesn't speak to me or something like that happened. Well, welcome to real life. In real life, in your job environment, you are going to work with whoever, even you like it or not. So this is a rehearse. And how do you are going
Yes.
to face the situation? Do you want to, because there are two ways, or you get along with someone you don't like and you communicate and you work together, or you just quit. It's your choice. So it's a matter of continuous reflection, but they know that they can work with whoever have to work in the classroom. There are 4 or 5 different teamwork activities in my class. They work with different people in those 5 or 6 projects, for example. They never work with the same people. So, and it's another way that to get to know each other better. And that happened to me. Well, it worked with me. I don't know if that could be applicable in your setting, but it's something that helped me a lot. I don't let them to get together on their own because it doesn't work. So I force them to work every single teamwork with different people, and they have to learn how to deal with that, because there is a goal, and the goal is the project, and the project affects their grades, and they have to work with whoever they have to work in order to reach the goal. I don't know if that worked. It worked for me somewhat, but as I told you before, we all have different stories. We all have that different settings, but at the end of the day, we somewhat have the
And also
same.
we have different approaches.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and bullying is when we do something on purpose.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Where are you from?
Ecuador. I'm from Guayaquil in Ecuador.
Ecuador. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you, Svetlana.
And
Thank
what
you so
happened
much.
if,
Great.
sorry, I have a question. What happened if the student is very shy at the same time, wants to share something, but doesn't know how to do it? How can you solve that problem? If the student is very shy, wants to express something, but doesn't know how to speak because he's learning at the very beginning of the situation. It doesn't matter the sense. It doesn't matter the level of the student.
Thank you, Sergio, for the question. I really love your question. And I'm a huge fan of the theory of growth mindset of Caroline Dweck. I don't know if you have heard about Caroline Dweck. She is the mother of the growth mindset. And when you use growth mindsets in your classroom, and this happened, the first starting point is the first day of class, believe it or not. The first day of class, the first week of class, it's crucial. And
Why?
it's what I say, it's where you set the rules of the game. And one of the rules of the game are, it's okay to make mistakes because we all learn from mistakes. Make mistakes is acceptable in my class. You can make mistakes and it's okay. Not knowing about something, it's okay. But not trying is not okay.
Okay, thank you for the information. I will
Yeah,
apply for my classes as well. Thank you.
you're welcome, Sergio. I recommend for you to read Growth Mindset, the Growth Mindset Theory. And there are some active strategies that you can implement in the classroom. But the first thing, for example, is to let that shy student to know that making mistakes, it's good. It's part of learning. Number one, they have to repeat I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. So always support that emotional part in order to build a level of confidence. And little by little that will happen. Another thing, to work on the level of collaboration. If a student knows more English about that student, would be a support. So we are learning from each other in a collaborative setting. So we are in the same team.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
It
Sergio.
was very helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Eduardo and Suana Trainer, for asking your question.
Yeah, I would like to add one more thing related to his question, how we can help shy students. Actually, I had passed lots of trainings, and as I am experienced, I can say never give negative feedback and negative compliment. If your student is weak, you don't say, today your mark is awful, you don't know this, oh my god. Don't use not and don't. Okay, you can say in a different way, you are good, but you can do it better tomorrow. You should use positive words, and it can encourage and it can motivate them. It can increase their motivation. If student is motivated, he can gain self-confidence. And self-confidence is the most important. When you are confident, you can reduce your shyness. And sometimes there are different reasons. We have to find out what is the reason of being shy.
Yes, that's right, Svetlana. That is something that is part of the growth mindset as well, and we need to change that chip of providing negative or discouraging feedback. As I told you, one of the first steps to build a student's confidence and to avoid this problem that sometimes they are not ready to speak in English. But they want to do it in my case, for example, in Spanish. When a student cannot say a word in English, says, okay, no problem, do it in English, and then I model, do it in Spanish, and I model in English. So in that way, it says, okay, so he is focusing on listening then. So it says, teacher, how do you say an X word? Okay, so you can do it that. So it's allowed. As I told you before, when the pandemic started, I taught for 3 semesters A1 students, so first semester. And it was a challenge because those students just finished they finished school, I mean, the high school in pandemics. And they couldn't have, the graduation prom or the graduation ceremony. They just graduate through, it was a very difficult thing. So, and they were living different experiences. And the confidence was too low. So the first thing that we also need to do in the first week of classes is using activities or implementing activities like it says, the Vygotsky zone of proximal development, gradually from something easy, and then little by little you're challenging your students. So they reach confidence by doing activities.
Sorry. We say scaffolding.
Scaffolding.
Yeah, little
yes.
by little we reduce. Yeah, as I said, I have passed lots of trainings. This is a scaffolding method.
Yes.
When we start reducing our support.
Yeah,
Little
and
by
using
little.
differentiated instruction as well. So in order to identify, strengths and weaknesses in some students are what aspects they need more support from you. And I would say at the beginning, to reach confidence, just implement activities or strategies that they can reach, and little by little increase the level of difficulty in order to challenge them. So, and of course, give them the opportunity to teach you something. So it's very rewarding for them when you say, oh my gosh, I learned from something new from you today. Thank you so much for teaching me that. So I am giving the student also that message that I can learn from you. So I'm not here just to teach you or learning from me. We are all sharing. And it's interesting how the students, they feel so happy and so proud to know, wow, my teacher told me that. So encourage the students, the language that we use, the kind of the message that we send our students have to be positive, encouraging, motivating, and why not inspirational?
Absolutely, dear Elizabeth. Thanks for your insight, no, and for your valuable answers.
Kudos to you, teacher Elizabeth.
And
Thank you so much.
You're
thank you
welcome,
so much,
Svetlana.
Sana Trainer, for your
You are
for
so
your
nice. You are
excellent
inspiring,
contribution.
really.
Thank you for your kind words, Svetlana. You are my inspiration as well because I learn every day from my community of colleagues. So, and it's wonderful. Sometimes I felt that, oh, I am not going to change the world. Sometimes I feel so like because we are human beings. I says, oh my God, I'm so
Every
sad.
day we need
So I'm not going
improvement.
to say
Every
that.
day.
And then it says, okay, I read something interesting or I attend a conference in which a message is like, okay, now now I feel better. Let's continue. Let's go on. We can do it.
When you speak, when you say something, I pay attention and how can I say calmly your conversation makes me relaxed. I feel like this, like you are a psychologist. For
Okay, thank you so much. Rosa, thank you so much for your turn, Rosa. Would you ask any question, please?
Yes, I want. Thank you so much. This is my first time as a teacher, and I have some questions that I asked me, but I am happy to be here because maybe you can help me. I asked me what we can do to help the students, and you are talking that we are not superheroes. Some things we can do it, and some things we cannot do it. So I would like to have some examples that you can give me, please.
Uh, for example, you can, in my case, and I really like to whatever I share it based on my experience. It happened to me 2 weeks ago, in fact. We were in the virtual classes. There was, I just heard some shotguns. And then my student turned the camera off, and around 5 to 8 minutes later, she had the camera on, and she told me, sorry, I had to turn my camera off because there was a shotgun outside, just in the corner, just outside my house, and my cousin was just killed. Okay, so in that moment, the first idea that came to my class is that she was trying to be calm, but she still wanted to stay in my class. And then I said, okay, so your cousin, okay. So then for 1 millisecond, I says, well, what should I do? It says, first, please give your family, so sorry for your loss. Number one. Number two, I need you to leave the session because your family needs you now in this moment. My class is not important now. Your family is. So in that moment, I couldn't change the situation that just happened, but I just tried to give her my support because she wanted to stay in my class, but she couldn't. It wasn't possible to be there. And I asked her to leave the class and prioritize in that moment her family. That is something. I cannot change the situation, but I can give her my support and tell her, I'm with you, but your family needs you right now. Stay with your family now. So, and those are some different examples of experiences I just live that you sometimes that you don't know how to face, you don't know what to do in that moment. But it's help the students to know what their priorities are because of it. It's also part of the it's part of the training for life, and help them to be in that moment to let them know that the family needs, and the family need them calm, that everything is going to be okay, that whatever happens, and when she's ready, she can come back to class. Take your time. I told her, take your time and just share that time with the family. So showing empathy, showing understanding, showing support. But of course, it doesn't mean that the students are going to take that as an excuse for not doing what they have to do. No, but train our students to be resilient and let them know that they can overcome these situations, whatever situation happens, because everything it's temporary, and they need to learn how to overcome situations, be resilient, and keep going. That is the challenge. From my experience, we said that is the real challenge. Because the higher level of depressions, I don't know what happened in some other communities, but our teenagers and young adults, students, sometimes they face higher level of depression, and we need to give them a positive message that everything will be overcome. So things will be better a day at a time. Because in the higher level of violence, as I told you before, they never know. And then it says, okay, so live one day at a time.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Okay,
much,
Rosa.
Rose.
And Rosa said, sorry, you are new in the field, right? You told us that you are new in the field. Very important. Develop your observation skills. Observe your students and be reflective about your teaching practice. That would be my advice for any new teacher. Observe what happens in your classroom and reflect about your practice. That will keep you active for 30 or 40 years of teaching, not repeating the same thing, but every day your class will be a different one just because of it. Okay.
Good morning, Elizabeth. My name is Andrea Rosero.
Hi,
It is
Andrea.
very nice to meet you. It is the first time that I see you. I would like to ask you something. After these kind of situations happen to you at the place where you work, how do you manage to get back the class into the way they were? For example, obviously they are not paying attention anymore. They get disturbed. And how can you manage that situation?
When that happened, in that specific situation, I asked the student to leave, and then I stopped my class for a few minutes. And then I started a reflection moment with my students. So I just left English apart, and I started speaking in Spanish to my students. And then I noticed, embrace your life, live your life with responsibility, because you never know when that will be the last time. So, and another advice, guys, is that we are English teachers. We could say that our job or our responsibility is being sure that our students develop their English skills, their linguistic competence, and et cetera, et cetera. But besides that, we are educators. We are educators. And if I had to stop my class for 1 minute, for 2 minutes, to give them just that speech that maybe not all of you want to listen to, but you never know. I a believer and say that words have power, and we have to be responsible with that power. And if you have a kind word for that student, if you let them know that life is just a minute and you can lose it in 1 second. And I told them, live your life with responsibility, embrace your life, embrace the people who love you and you love, and one day at a time. And another thing that happened to me the first day, the second day of class. Yeah, it wasn't this semester. It was around 3 weeks ago. I had classes for the very first time with one group, and the day before, we found out that there were two students who had a car accident. And I just found out the next day, because I had class with that day, that one of the victims of that accident was one of my students. And I started, taking attendance, Gonzalez, please answer to the list. Please answer to this. And then one student, so everybody they were mute. And just one student told me, teacher, he was one of the victims of the accident. He's not going back anymore. It was like, okay. And it is difficult because at the beginning you don't find it. And it happened to me that sometimes I forget not his name, because I have it is Gonzalez, but I start, that, and it happened to me yesterday, in fact, and I just call out his name, and he told me, teacher, remember that is our classmate who just passed away. And then I said, okay, he won't be forgotten. So my mistake, but it won't be forgotten because he's still in my list. And things happen, and those things you cannot change. But you need to train your students how to face those situations and how to overcome those situations. And it happens with empathy, with resilience, and managing your emotions, and train them how to manage their emotions. That's why I include in my class a lot of video clips connected to that. I don't know if you have watched the movie The Greatest Showman. The Greatest Showman. There is a song that is called This Is Me, and this song is sung by all the group of people from the show who are different. And what is different for the people who believe they are normal, it's like, it's terrible, but they say, this is me, this is who I am. And your words are not going to harm me because this is what I meant to be. And another tip for you guys, every class, I start my classes with a song or with a video clip, but I choose those songs that bring some message, positive message, and growth mindset message. This Is Me, The Greatest Showman, Try by Pink, Unstoppable from Zia, Try Everything from Shakira, Zootopia. Yeah, I put it every kind of clips with songs with a message. And then they read the lyrics and they sing it and they understand the lyrics, but all of those songs have a positive message. You can do it. You can overcome whatever it comes. You are valuable. You are great.
Okay, dear teachers, thanks
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
contributions and be part of this interview. Dear Elizabeth, I noticed that, well, we are on time, but the interview, Elizabeth, I was thinking on if you can share with us, I don't know, an email in case the teachers, they require to ask you more questions, inquire to contact you directly, because the time in the interview, it's approximately 45 minutes, and completely sure there are so many questions that they are
Sure.
remaining, no? So is it possible, Elizabeth, that you will share with us, or you can send
Sure.
something?
I'm posting my institutional email. So any question that you have, you can also ask any question. I'm on Facebook as Elizabeth Ortiz. If you want to send a direct message to me, it will be my pleasure. I have the opportunity to share my experiences and talking about sustainable development goal, education for peace in different communities. It will be more than helpful to have another session about it. Again, what I'm sharing is what I live in my classes, and again, hopefully you find some answers to these questions, to your questions. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you so much, dear
Thank you,
Elizabeth.
Carlos, for your comment. Yes, Rosanna. And on Facebook, you find me on Facebook as Elizabeth Ortiz.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
I was also thinking to label you, to tag you, in one of the comments, so they can click on your profile and they can directly contact you too.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, sure do it. So it will be my pleasure. I think that this is a short time for sharing what we live in
Yes,
the classroom.
Yeah.
But we
Miss
want more. We always want
El-
more.
yeah, Miss
absolutely,
Elizabeth, Miss
absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
Rosanna.
are you planning to come to Piura, Peru? The last time I saw you in Lima, and your presentation is in my mind. Eh?
Okay. If you invite me, that would be my pleasure to go back to Piura.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosanna. Okay.
Dear participants, thank you so much for your time, your commitment to be here. It was an honorable interview. To know more about who is Elizabeth Ortiz is just reflecting about an interesting topic about education in peace, and also sharing anecdotes and different things that we as educators can learn every session. So unfortunately, time in the interview is short, but I promise you to organize another interview to invite Elizabeth. Maybe the next year, Elizabeth, it is possible to to prepare or to plan another interview, a second part, in order to have more time. So maybe the interview we will prepare for 1 hour, 1 hour and 10 minutes, so people can ask more questions. Will be right.
Yes, that would be great. It would be great, Andres. So thank you so much for the invitation. I hope to see you anytime soon.
I
Have a good
just want to
morning.
Hopefully,
add that it's very interesting. I just feedback. I learned too much. Thank you so much, Miss
Thank you,
Elizabeth.
Sergio. Thank you, Sergio.
Hey,
thank you
Miss
so much.
And
Elizabeth.
thank you, Andres, for sharing
Sorry,
to us.
Thank you.
Thank
sorry,
you
I
so
Master,
have a
much.
question.
Sure.
Do you have any WhatsApp group that I can join? I will very interesting to participate in this kind of meetings.
Andres, I think that you have one, so maybe you can share it.
Absolutely.
I think that you have a WhatsApp group, and that would be my pleasure to have that topic
Yes, Miss
another time.
Rosa, you just contact me. You just contact me, write me in the WhatsApp, and I will send you, and I will join to the group. It could be right.
Mhm.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for being here. Thanks, dear
Thank
teachers.
you, Andres.
I will
Master
invite you for our
Elizabeth.
next teachers interview. Have a good Saturday.
Mario.
Yes. There was only one comment that I would like to make is that the simple fact when you mentioned that to use songs and you say that you can use any song of Shakira, I have a problem because I do not understand Shakira in English nor Spanish. So can you give me
No,
another one?
listen, there is a soundtrack of Zootopia movie, and
Okay.
the song is Try Everything. Try Everything. So look for it, and there is a video clip, and then you have, for example, an example of Never Give Up.
All
So
right.
that is
I'll do
the
that.
that is the message to your students.
Thanks a
Okay?
lot, Master. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Andres.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye,
Bye bye,
everyone.
everybody. Have a
Merry
good Saturday.
Christmas.
Bye.